through the way forward for the ISDB group for the coming year. And then we'll open the floor for Q&A for all of you to ask questions. And again, I welcome all the media representatives and journalists who join us from the local, regional, and international media entities. With that, Your Excellency, Romuald Waragni, the Chairman of the Board of Governors, the mic to you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Al-Jasser, Chairman of the Islamic Development Bank Group, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our annual meetings have come to an end with major decisions regarding the future of our common institution, the Islamic Development Bank Group. The different side events and meetings held throughout the past 4 days have been very fruitful for all of us due to the conducive environment in which our deliberations were conducted. The highest authorities of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia spare no effort to provide us with excellent working conditions. On behalf of my fellow governors and alternate governors and all participants, I would like to thank the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, for his patronage of these meetings and for the support and logistical facilities that the government of Saudi Arabia has provided us with. My appreciation also goes to the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, his government and the people of Saudi Arabia for the generous hospitality that has been given to all of us. I would also like to congratulate His Excellency Mohamed Al-Jasser, Chairman of the IDB Group, for well-organized annual meetings and for the achievements the IDB Group were, for the achievement of the IDB Group that were presented to the representatives of the member countries. On behalf of all governors and alternate governors, I would like to thank him for the different initiatives he and his team have taken to support our member countries to navigate the crises that were faced and are still facing with the ongoing crisis triggered by the conflict in Eastern Europe. The theme of this year's annual meetings, Partnership to Fend Off Crises, reflects his vision and focus on encouraging member countries to forge more concrete and sustainable partnerships among them and with key international development and business partners to overcome the crisis. As we are about to part until next year, I want to commend all participants in these annual meetings for their commitment and for the smooth running of all meetings and events. The collaborative spirit that prevailed during the past 4 days shows that each of us cares about our brothers and sisters in our respective countries and throughout the world. Our tireless efforts to achieve the development agenda of our different member countries aim at alleviating the suffering of our population and improving their well-being. I would finally like to conclude by thanking the members of the media. Your support in informing our stakeholders and other partners is highly valuable. Without your dedication and help, we will not be able to convey our message to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. With that, to you, Your Excellency, Dr. Mohammed bin Salman Al-Jasser, Chairman of the Islamic Development Bank Group, the mic to you.
شكرا جزيلا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ونحمده على ما أفاء علينا من نجاح في هذه الاجتماعات. معالي السيد رومالدو وادني، وزير الدولة المكلف بالاقتصاد والمالية بجمهورية بنين، رئيس مجلس محافظي البنك الإسلامي، السيدات والسادة ممثلي وسائل الإعلام، ضيوفنا الأعزاء، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في ختام اجتماعاتنا السنوية لمجموعة البنك الإسلامي للتنمية، أود أن أعرب مرة أخرى عن عميق امتناني لسيدي خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود على رعايته الكريمة لهذه الاجتماعات. كما أعرب عن خالص شكري وتقديري لحكومة المملكة العربية السعودية وطني العزيز على حفاوة الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة اللذين حظي بهما جميع المشاركين، وعلى جميع التسهيلات التي وفرتها لنا لعقد هذه الاجتماعات السنوية في أحسن الظروف. وأود أيضاً أن أجدد تقديري لمعالي السيد روموالد وودانيي وزير الدولة المكلف بالاقتصاد والمالية في جمهورية بنين على رئاسته الناجحة والصبورة لمجلس المحافظين، ولا سيما خلال الأيام الأربعة الماضية. كما أود أن أعرب عن امتناني لكم أنتم ممثلي وسائل الإعلام الموقرين، وأشكركم جميعاً على تغطية اجتماعاتنا السنوية وما صاحبها من فعاليات مختلفة. وإنه لمن دواعي سروري، كما هو الحال دائماً، أن أتحاور معكم وأجيب على أسئلتكم. ويسرني إعلامكم أن هذه الاجتماعات السنوية شهدت حضور 4452 مشاركاً من 90 دولة. 4452 مشارك 90 بلداً، إضافة إلى مشاركة 89 منظمة شريكة دولية وإقليمية. واستقطبت الأنشطة المتعلقة
activities related to knowledge sharing attracted a number of participants who reached 73 participants, and the PSF was attended by 42 business leaders. And we explored with the member countries and the partners in the last 4 days. We explored a number of developmental issues. We deliberated on very important issues related to the future of the ISDB group, and we have taken a number of important decisions. The results of these annual meetings will allow us to pave the way for more success. And now, please allow me to inform you of the outcomes of some of the important events of these annual meetings. First of all, the round table, which gave a unique dimension to our deliberations. It was chaired by His Excellency Mr. Romuald Wadanye. The governors discussed the influence and the impact of the crisis, the global crisis, on the member countries. They gave direction and important proposals to the ISDB group to utilize partnerships between the South countries to fend off crises and work on innovating new mechanisms to mobilize resources to provide concessional resources, concessional financing. They also provided their opinions concerning the ways to maximize ordinary as well as concessional financing, utilizing the increasing liquidity of the Islamic finance. They also discussed ways to increase the exchange of knowledge between the member countries of the IDB, and also sharing the same with other countries of the global south in the private as well as the private and third sector. There were also discussion sessions with the governors of the IDB for Somalia, Egypt and Pakistan concerning the following. First of all, ways to fend off crises in member countries suffering from fragility and conflicts by connecting human development and peace. Also, ways to consolidate resilience in the face of natural disasters by preparing and facing these challenges. Thirdly, ways to support partnerships to achieve sustainable development that is resilient in the context of the latest global crisis. During the annual meetings, many flagship events to exchange knowledge were held. They witnessed the participation of senior level experts representing governments as well as international and regional organizations, civil society organizations, the private sector, academia, thought leaders, and other development experts. These events that attracted a large audience from different areas were a good opportunity for decision makers to discuss the challenges faced by the member countries and explore the opportunities. It was also an opportunity to listen directly to the governors and all and partners while they talked about their aspirations and expectations. It also allowed the participants to exchange ideas and open channels for exchange, and also success stories were shared in order to consolidate human and social development. Indeed, the ISDB will take heed of the topics discussed in the last few days to improve its services in the future. I am also pleased to announce that on the sidelines of these annual meetings, 77 financing agreements were signed between the ISDB group and 24 member countries with a total value of $5.4 billion. $5.4 billion.
وتشمل هذه الاتفاقيات عمل
These agreements cover operations and projects in different sectors such as health, agriculture, food security, transport, energy, SMEs, education, and humanitarian relief. Concerning humanitarian aid or relief, within the Afghanistan Humanitarian Trust Fund, managed by the IDB, as it was tasked by the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the OIC, I am pleased to announce that we have signed 7 agreements with the partner implementers, such as the UNICEF, the International Immigration Organization, the Aga Khan Foundation, and the Danish Committee to help the Afghan refugees. It is worth mentioning that the fund is financing these projects through the participation of the King Salman Relief Center. These annual meetings were also an opportunity to sign 2 MCPSs with Uzbekistan and Niger. We also signed 2 memoranda of understanding with Pakistan and Guyana concerning the preparation of the country cooperation framework. We also signed 30 MOUs with partners from the public sector and the development institutions. I am also pleased to announce that we have launched the second phase of the LLF managed by the IDB. It is worth mentioning that this fund was established in 2016 in partnership between the ISDB and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, the ISFD, and KS Relief. and also the Qatar Fund for Development. Within the replenishment of the resources of this fund, the ISDB has committed to contribute $325 million as very concessional loans. So the total amount of the ISDB group contribution of grants provided to the LLF will reach $200 million. Before concluding, I am pleased to inform you that the ISDB BOG has approved Indonesia's request to increase its subscription to the ISDB capital, and we are honored with the presence of Dr. Sri Mulyani Indrawati, the Minister of Finance and Governor of the ISDB for Indonesia, in this press conference to give a brief statement concerning this important decision. In the conclusion, I would like to thank all the annual meeting organizing committee in the ISDB group for their dedication and hard work, which allowed us to hold our meetings in the best conditions. I also thank the members of senior management of the ISDB and all colleagues who took part in the
عاليات. وأود أيضا أن أعرب عن امتناني العميق لجميع المشاركين في هذه الاجتماعات، ولا سيما لكم أنتم ممثلي وسائل الإعلام الذين حضرتم وغطيتم اجتماعاتنا وفعالياتنا، وإننا إذ نقدر أيما تقدير تغطيتكم المميزة والغنية لهذه الاجتماعات، وأتطلع إلى مزيد من التفاعل معكم لإطلاع الأطراف المعنية بشكل فعال ومستمر على أنشطة البنك المتنوعة في مساعدة بلداننا الأعضاء على تحقيق طموحاتها التنموية الواعدة، وتكاتفنا مع جميع الشركاء درءا للأزمات والتحديات المختلفة. وسنظل نعتبر تعزيز عملنا وتعاوننا معكم إحدى أولوياتنا. وأختم كلمتي بالإعراب عن خالص تقديري للسادة المحافظين والمحافظين المناوبين والمديرين التنفيذيين وأعضاء مجالس الإدارة وأعضاء الوفود على مشاركتهم الفعالة ومساهماتهم الغنية وتوجيهاتهم السديدة. شاكرا لكم جميعا، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا لك معالي الدكتور محمد على هذه الكلمة. هي فعلا تعكس عنوان الاجتماعات السنوية لمجموعة البنك الإسلامي للتنمية تحت عنوان إقامة الشراكات درءا للأزمات، وتعكس التأثير واسع النطاق عابر لحدود القارات لهذا البنك الذي جعل منه بنكا تنمويا متعدد الأطراف يمكن الشعوب من أجل مستقبل مستدام وأكثر تنمية في المجتمعات والبلدان الإسلامية وحول العالم ككل. لتسليط الضوء and to highlight actually the valuable and purposeful partnership with the government of Indonesia. It's my pleasure to welcome Your Excellency Sri Mulyani, Dr. Sri Mulyani Indrawati, Minister of Finance and Islamic Development Bank Governor of Indonesia. Welcome to the stage. Thank you. And it was a great pleasure having you with us. Thank you. Your Excellency, the mic to you.
Thank you so much. Honorable President, Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Muhammad Al-Jasser, Management of Islamic Development Bank, Board of Governors, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank and really give a very high appreciation to the Islamic Development Bank President and the management for the continuing support to Indonesia that contributed to the achievement of our development agenda, structural reform, as well as institutional strengthening, including the development of Indonesia Islamic Economy and Finance, where Islamic Development Bank is leading. Islamic Development Bank has been our long development partner. Since the inception in 1974, Indonesia is among the founding members of this institution. Indonesia has always supported Islamic Development Bank in every capital increase, in every reform agenda, and all the effort by Islamic Development Bank to increase the prosperity of the member country. Islamic Development Bank, on the other hand, has involved in various Indonesia development priorities, focusing on agriculture, education, health, transport, industry and mining, energy, water and sanitation, and also financial sectors. Since 2011, our cooperation with Islamic Development Bank has been framed in the so-called Member Country Partnership Strategy, or MCPS, which is currently entering the third period of 2022 to 2025. Since 2017, Islamic Development Bank established a regional hub in Jakarta. This is to further facilitate a strong cooperation between the Islamic Development Bank and all the stakeholders in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam. Have been working for years with the Islamic Development Bank. Indonesia realized that Islamic Development Bank has a comparative advantage compared to other multilateral development banks, not only in promoting Islamic economy and finance, but also in leveraging South-South partnership, which President mentioned earlier on the roundtable discussion today. We have a very, very fruitful and meaningful discussion on how to strengthen this South-South cooperation. Under the current global situation, which emerging market and developing economy need to deal with major challenges, such as scarring effect from the pandemic, increasing global fragmentation, as well as intensifying impact from climate change, Islamic Development Bank can provide support to enhance resilience of its member and at the same time connect them each other and further creating a strong synergy and collaboration. Since the post-pandemic calls for reform have become louder in many international fora for multilateral development bank to enhance its role in helping country in need, especially due to the global crisis. MDB's financial firepower become most highlighted reform as reflected in the G20 report MDB Capital Adequacy Ratio, in which Indonesia presidency last year in the G20 has created this kind of discussion and also paved the way for the MDB to be able to serve the member country more without compromising the AAA rating. To be able to increase the role, Islamic Development Bank also, in this case, sharpen the vision and mission under the President Aljazer leadership and strengthening business model, which we strongly support. With the strategic realignment of 2023-2025, which is launched last year, aligning its strategy and make it fit for purpose, respond to the critical and evolving needs of many members' countries. I think this is a very commendable effort by President Aljazer. Indonesia, as the largest economy in the membership of the Islamic Development Bank, would like to take more important role in this endeavor. As the country also with the largest Muslim population in the world, largest economic size within the Islamic Development Bank membership, we want to contribute more to Muslim community by becoming a stronger partner of Islamic Development Bank, and also to increase our role in delivering reform, providing knowledge, and also development experience. With this special capital increase, SCI, an opportunity to hold an appointed executive directors, Indonesia commitment to working more closely with the Islamic Development Bank to realize its potential and make a positive and long-lasting development impact on the Muslim Ummah and the global community at large. Therefore, on behalf of the Government of Indonesia, I would like to particularly extend my sincere gratitude to my fellow Governor, as well as President Aljazer, for the approval of Indonesia's special capital increase, and of course, President Aljazer and his team will work tirelessly to make this possible for Indonesia to become the largest shareholder in the Islamic Development Bank. This is really the objective in which President Joko Widodo and Vice President Kiai Haji Ma'ruf Amin really want me to deliver to all of you this afternoon. With this historical moment for Indonesia to level up capital in the Islamic Development Bank and to be part of the appointed board of executive directors, we would like to continue strong support to the development goals, which is performed very well by Islamic Development Bank. This is also to show that Indonesia's commitment to become a stronger partner of the Islamic Development Bank and all the membership, not only as a recipient country, but Indonesia wants to become also a shareholder and contributor. Thank you so much.
Can I just say something?
Absolutely.
Sri Mulyani, I'm sorry just to say it like this, without doctor, without Mrs., without, you're a good friend. And we've known each other since you were, even before you were at the World Bank, in your first tour as Finance Minister of Indonesia. She has always delivered on her promises. And, you know, as a finance minister, Indonesia borrowed from the Islamic Development Bank like all the other members. They are distinctly one of those countries that always finishes the projects in time, in high quality, in exemplary way. So even when they were borrowers, still not thinking of being a major creditor, they were doing very well in that account. And that is something, you know, the president of an institution like ours would love always to see in all the members. So thank you, Sri Mulyani, for being a leader, not only in your country, but a leader in the Muslim world in terms of really showing the way how best to manage any task you have at hand. You manage this very well, and I hope that all your future endeavors will be just as successful as this one. And thank you very much for making Indonesia take the position it deserves in the Islamic Development Bank.
Respect. Thank you, Your Excellency, and it's great pleasure having you with us. Really, the strategic partnership between Indonesia and the Islamic Development Bank Group has developed into a diverse and dynamic portfolio. And now, to you, ladies and gentlemen, we will open the floor for Q&A. And Our time is honestly a bit short today, but we will try our very best to accommodate as many questions as we can in the allocated time. Please mention your name, from which media entity, and we have His Excellency Dr. Al Jasser with us. So we'll go with the first question. Over there.
أنا اسمي حسن هريد.
My name is Hassan Haridi from Akhbar al-Yawm, from the Arab Republic of Egypt. I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, its government and people for the hospitality. I would like also to thank the ISDB group for extending their invitation to me. In light of the statement of the ISDB group chairman, concerning the availability of financing within the group while there is a gap of financing around the world. What are the sectors that the ISDB group will finance in the coming period? We know that the world is facing climate issues. There is also a food crisis. There is also a gap when it comes to the sources of water, in addition to the rising poverty levels based on the economic indexes of the international organizations because of the global crises that the world is facing, be it natural as well as man-made crises. Thank you very much. This is a very important question. And this is what we have attempted to do and to say in the last few days. We are a South-South bank. All our membership are from the South. We don't have superpowers among our members. We take our decisions based on our experiences in our countries and by ourselves. So when we say what are the sectors that are defined by our countries, we will start working with the countries based on their needs. For example, a country that has finished the 5-year plan, we will meet with them and develop the MCPS with them, and we will define the priorities of that country based on what they see, based on their opinions, and then we would select the projects based on that. For example, we were talking about Indonesia. At a certain time, they needed hospitals, referral hospitals, 6 referral hospitals, and we collaborated with them on that to finance their construction. And mashallah, they finished the project very quickly, and we will start new 6 oncology hospitals. May Allah protect us all from cancer, and we will start working on that. We will not say to them, you need this or that. It doesn't happen in the ISDB. The ISDB follows the views of the country, so cooperation differs within the ISDB. So our countries support us greatly when we speak about the amounts. Now we have the 6th general capital increase will enter into force, and the first installment was last January, and also the markets. We have a AAA rating, and we can borrow whenever we want. When we borrow, some people complain because we don't give them enough. Some governors they complain and they say, "Why did you only give us $300 million?"
They say your sukuks are important, your sukuks are good. We want to keep them in our reserves. That is why the IDB finds what is needed. When the food crisis came, we were one of the first institutions that allocated $10.5 million as soon as possible. And I went and signed an agreement in Jordan about that because Jordan was going through a food crisis, and currently we have paid almost half of it, and the implementation phase is going on very quickly. That is why I want to reassure you, the IDB first is not perfect in any way, because perfection is only to Allah, and we do not assume that we know everything, but we always listen. We always want to listen, and that is why such a conference like this one is a venue to listen to you, to listen to those of concern, to listen to those of expertise about the priorities. That is why the IDB does what it can, and that is why we mentioned the agreements that we signed during this meeting are at the amount of 5.4 billion US dollars. These are projects that are still in the pipelines. So be reassured, your bank is playing its role, but it needs your support, it needs your moral backup. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency. As was said by His Excellency, we want to listen to you. Next question, please. Peace be upon you all. Mohammed Abdelhadi Qahtani, founder of Dinar Holdings.
Entrepreneurs, investing in entrepreneurs and take them to another level of expansion. We have a lovely case in Saudi. We invested in almost the first 6 years ago. We started with the revenue with 5 million. Now we're reaching 100 million within almost 6 years. And we used to have almost 25 employees. Now we have almost 600 employees in this company. So what we were looking for, we are the wealth creation, the entrepreneurs. They're looking for people they can invest on. I think the expansion and investment for the wealth entrepreneurs will add a value to the economics. Will recruit. Will add a value to the supply chain, to the government, revenue to the government. So, is there any specific program for this type of investment? Thank you.
شكرا. تفضل معالي.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir. We have the ICD. This is an affiliate institution, one of the ISDB's institutions that is responsible for these matters. But I'd like to reassure you once again that the IDB, as I always say to my colleagues, we are not a profit maximizer, and we're not a commercial enterprise. We're a development impact maximizer. And that is why we do not compete with those who operate in the commercial field. These have the people concerned with that work. But we here at IDB are concerned with the interests of poor countries and that need infrastructure, especially health, education, and road infrastructure that are going to better the lives of the Muslim people in the 57-member countries that we serve. But at the same time, at times, there are projects that even the private sector doesn't want to do because they are risk-bearing. That is why we have the ICD that does that work. So I recommend that you communicate with the ICD. Great. Next question, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed Al-Jasser. I am Mohsen Abdelrazik, an Egyptian journalist. I'd like to thank you all for this kind invitation, and I wish you all the success in all your endeavors. My question is, how do you follow up on the global interest rates, and how does that affect the operations of the bank with the member countries in the attainment of development. Second question is, during the Sharm el-Sheikh meetings, you mentioned that there are cooperation outlooks with the Egypt Sovereign Fund. So if you can tell us, please, about any developments that have taken place in that regard. And thank you very much. Thank you. As to the fluctuation of interest rates, this is something that every economist and every businessman or woman needs to deal with. And as there are economic crises and instabilities that happen in the world, interest rates fluctuate. We deal with the Islamic dinar, and it has these special drawing rates. And in it is a built-in cushion for the IDB and reduces the repercussions of interest rate changes. Also, when countries borrow with a currency like the Islamic dinar, it is protected in this regard from the fluctuation of interest rates. It doesn't borrow today and then halfway while implementing the project they find that the price of the interest rate has changed and accordingly the price of the loan has changed. No, the price of the loan will be constant and will not be impacted by the change in interest rates. Of course, the developmental process and interest rates are something that happened worldwide. This is something that everyone fears in the UK, in the USA, and in France. This is the work of the central bank. We are not a central bank, but we follow up on what central banks do. And thank God we are surrounded with central banks that are highly effective, and that is why the instabilities and volatilities that exist are less than what we would fear of. We have time for one more question. This is going to be our last question. No more questions? There are no more questions. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you all, Your Excellency. Dr. Mohammed Sliman Al-Jasser, Chairman of the Islamic Development Bank Group, and Her Excellency Dr. Siri Mulyani Indrawati, Minister of Finance and Islamic Development Bank Governor of Indonesia. To all their media representatives and journalists, we would like to thank you all once again for your participation and coverage throughout the annual meetings. We look forward to your continued coverage of the Islamic Development Bank Group activities and initiatives. And as His Excellency Dr. Al-Jasser said, take the message with you home. And we look forward to welcome you all next year. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Thank you. Yes, please be seated because we'll commence with signing some agreements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear sister. It has been a wonderful Thank you very much. Thank you once again for such a wonderful presentation this afternoon. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I know we are in this very important moment where all of us want to just say thanks to every one of us and go home. As we move on with the final session, the signing of ceremonies, on behalf of the ISDB Group General Secretary and the Acting Director of Communications and Outreach, Dr. Al-Ghassamas Baba, I want to welcome you to the final session of signing of agreements and MOUs. Your Excellency, will kindly ask that you witness the first three signing ceremonies this evening before you leave, sir, with your kind permission. The first agreement is an ISDB agreement which talks about or looks into the contribution with International Islamic Charity Organization, Kuwait, for Skilled Training and Education Program, STEP. This is an ISDB agreement, and it will be witnessed by His Excellency the President and Chairman of the ISDB Group, to be signed on behalf of the ISDB by His Excellency the Vice President Operation, Dr. Mansour Mutal, and I want to welcome and invite Dr. Abdullah Matsoub Al-Matsoub, who is the chairman of the International Islamic Charity Organization, for the signing of this agreement. As mentioned, this is an ISDB agreement to be signed by the Vice President Operation, Dr. Mansour Mutar, and Dr. Abdullah Matsoub Al-Matsoub, who is the chairman of the International Islamic Charity Organization. It is a STEP program, and this program is a transformative initiative that seeks to empower youth among refugees, internally displaced persons, and host communities by providing access to education, skills development, and empowerment. We'll kindly ask for the handshake and exchange of the agreement, please. Your Excellency, the Vice President, and kindly, good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The second agreement will also be witnessed by His Excellency the President. It is an ISDB agreement also to be signed by the Vice President, Dr. Mansour Mukhtar. It is a contribution agreement with Sheikh Abdallah Al Noor Charity Society Kuwait for STEP programs. I want to invite Mr. Walid Al Sarif, General Manager, Sheikh Abdallah Al Noor Charity Society, to join the Honorable Vice President for the signing. Mr. Walid Al Sahif is the General Manager, Sheikh Abdallah Al Noor Charity Society. He is signing this agreement. It's a contribution agreement with Sheikh Abdallah Al Noor Charity Society, Kuwait. It is a STEP program, and it's a transformative initiative that seeks to empower youths among refugees, internally displaced persons, and host communities by providing access to education, skills development, and employment. Thank you very much. The final agreement to be witnessed by His Excellency the President and Chairman of the ISDB Group will be an MOU with the Halal Product Development Company, HPDC, Saudi Arabia. It is also an ISDB agreement. For and on behalf of the ISDB, the Honorable Vice President will sign, and I want to invite Mr. Fahad Al-Nuhat, who is the Chief Executive Officer. This agreement will also be witnessed by the President and the Chairman of the Board of FOWAS. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I want to express our sincere thanks to His Excellency the President for witnessing the first three agreements. We know you have a very, very tight schedule, so we'll allow you to go, Mr. President, to attend to all the functions as we continue the arrangement. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Vice President, we'll kindly ask you to stay because we have more ISDB agreement to sign. The next agreement will be also an ISDB agreement as an infrastructure financing facility for PT Sarana Multi-Infrastructure from Indonesia. It is an ISDB agreement to be signed on behalf of the ISDB by His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Mansour Mursal, and the CEO of PTSMI, Mr. Edwin Shiruzet. So for this agreement also, we have been told that our eminent personalities, the President and the Governor, will witness this agreement. Thank you very much. The fifth agreement to be signed this evening is also an ISDB agreement with the MECTRs under the development of the National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal. I would like to invite Mr. Mamadou Kante, the Director General, to join His Excellency the Vice President for the signing. We are kindly inviting Director General Mr. Mamadou Kante to join His Excellency the Vice President for the signing. The development of National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal is an $82 million economic empowerment microfinance intervention aiming at the economic and financial inclusion of vulnerable individuals and businesses. Thank you very much. We will continue with the Honorable Vice President and the ISDB Senegal Agreement. The next one will be signed with UIMCEC from Senegal, and I want to invite Mr. Ousmane Tungani, the Director General, to join His Excellency the Vice President for the signing. This is a development of National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal. It is an $82 million economic empowerment microfinance intervention aiming at economic and financial inclusion of vulnerable individuals and businesses in the West African nation. Thank you, DG, and thank you, Mr. Vice President, for the signing. The next ISDB agreement will also be signed with Senegal. I want to kindly invite Mr. Modou Faye, who is the Director General of PAMISCAS, under the development of National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal, to join His Excellency the Vice President for the signing of this project. This project is for the development of National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal, and it is an $82 million economic empowerment microfinance intervention aimed at economic and financial inclusion of vulnerable individuals and businesses in the West African nation. Thank you very much. The final agreement for Senegal will also be signed by His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Mansour Moutar. It's an ISDB agreement. It's a financial agreement with the MECZY under the development of National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal. I would like to invite Mr. Abdullahi Ndeya, who is the Director General, to join His Excellency the Vice President for the signing. It is also a development of National Islamic Microfinance Program in Senegal. It is $82 million economic empowerment microfinance intervention aiming at the economic and financial inclusion of vulnerable individuals and businesses in Senegal. Thank you, Director General, and thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you very much, sir. We will now move on to a special agreement between ICD and ISFD. It is a special agreement between the ICD and ISFD to be signed by the Acting Chief Executive Officer of ICD, Engineer Anis Salem Sumbul, and the Director General of ISFD, Dr. Iba Ahmed. Your Excellencies, I do welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please just for a moment have one meeting? This is a very important agreement to be signed by two key entities. Both parties, ICD and ISFD, agreed to cooperate and to work closely in exploring collaboration opportunities. The parties will consult each other to develop specific instruments or agreements for implementing the various activities to be undertaken by the parties to give effect to cooperation contemplated in this MOU. We'll kindly ask for a handshake and a show of the agreement. Thank you very much. Engineer Anis Salem Sumbul, Acting Chief Executive Officer, ICD, and Dr. Iba Ahmed, Director General, ISFD, for the signing. Thank you very much. The 10th agreement is an ISEC agreement for the reinsurance of sub-policy with the Riyadh Bank. I'd like to kindly invite Mr. Usama Kaisi, who is the Chief Executive Officer of ISEC, and Engineer Saad Al-Khabi for Saudi Exim to the podium for the signing of this agreement. This agreement is going to be signed by Mr. Usama Kaisi, who is the Chief Executive Officer of ISEC, and Engineer Saad Al-Khabi, who is the Mr. Mohammed Al-Bashir, is now signing on behalf of the Exim Bank. The sub-policy falls under the Master Reinsurance Agreement for coverage of confirmed LCs of several Saudi commercial banks. May I kindly ask that for exchange of the both agreements and the handshake? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The 11th agreement is also an ISEC agreement with the export of locomotive to Azerbaijan. I will kindly ask Mr. Aslam Kais Zagin, who is the CEO, to join the CEO of ISIC, Mr. Osama Kaisi, at the podium for the signing of the next agreement. The transaction covers the non-payment risk of Azerbaijan Railway for a tenure of 3 years. The transaction involves financial leasing, evolution type mainline locomotives, and ISIC supports to Kazakh exports with a 70% reinsurance coverage of the total insurance limit of $5.6 million US. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellencies. And we come to the final agreement for the day. It is also an ISIC agreement to be signed by the CEO of ISIC, Mr. Osama Kaisi, and the manager, Agribusiness, Manufacturing and Services, Mr. Nabil Fawaz of Nakil, Palestine for Agriculture. This ISIC agreement, welcome. Thank you. This agreement says that ISIC is the risk-sharing partner akin to reinsurance relating to the guarantee contract issued by MIGA to cover risk of expropriation and war and civil disturbances. And I'm very, very happy to state that this project is for and will benefit the Palestinian people. It is indeed a special project, and it brings us to the end of this session. I want to say many thanks to you, to the Excellencies, for signing. And at this point, also want to say thank you to the organizing committee, the legal department, and all those who have been working behind the scenes. Sister Rafib, you have done an excellent job. Thank you very much to you and your entire team. We hope and pray everything will be done successfully in the next years. Thank you very much. Goodbye.